markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the local port and shipping industry. And in the course of the week, you all heard the president when he delivered the State of the Nation address. He touted ICOMS, that's the integrated customs management system at the port, as a good trade facilitation tool that has helped in no small measure to raise government revenue. Plus the fact that the board of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority also undertook a 2-day workshop at the port of Takoradi. They also took the opportunity to familiarize themselves with operations at that particular port. Let's take a look at these stories.
The president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has praised the integrated customs management system for facilitating trade and helping government increase its revenue generation at the country's ports. The president made these remarks during the State of Nation address in Parliament last Wednesday.
ICOMS, when it was introduced, provoked a lot of controversy. At the moment, we're seeing the benefits. Indeed, customs revenue prior to the implementation of ICOMS for the period June 19 to May 20 stood at 11.5 billion cedis. Between June 2020, the start of ICOMS, and May 2021, teething challenges, ill-considered propaganda, and the impact of COVID-19 on global trade notwithstanding, customs revenue has increased by 27.6% to 14.36 billion cedis. Indeed, customs revenue for 2021 stood at 16.8 billion cedis, as opposed to 20.3 billion cedis in 2019, when ICOMS had not been implemented.
Nana Addo emphasized Ghana's positioning for the African continental free trade.
We have learned the very hard way. The first step to prosperity in Africa is for our countries to trade among each other. It is the reason we campaign for and supported and proudly host the Continental Office of the AFCFTA. Trading under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement officially commenced on 1st January 2021, and Ghana was the first country in Africa to establish custom procedure codes to facilitate trading under the AFCFTA.
The president, nonetheless, lamented the direct effect of the Russia-Ukraine war on certain import and export commodities in Ghana.
30% of our wheat, flour, and fertilizer imports come from Russia. 60% of iron rods and other metal sheets are imported from the Ukraine. And almost 20% of Ghana's manganese is shipped to the Ukraine. The bombs might be dropping on cities half a world away, but they are hitting our pockets here in Ghana.
He said that, coupled with the economic hardships created by the COVID-19, the economic stability of many nations have been threatened. However, Ghana has been resilient. The governing board of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, as part of its continuous efforts at ensuring robust corporate governance, has completed a 2-day working workshop in Takoradi with an inspection tour of port expansion projects at the Port of Takoradi. The aim of the workshop was to enable the board members renew their shared understanding of corporate governance oversight responsibilities pertaining to contracts, financial management, and procurement. During inspection of the Atlantic Terminal Services Container and Multi-Purpose Terminal, officials of the ATS project consultants, Royal Haskoning DHV, took the board members through completed work so far. They were also briefed on plans for operations at the ultra-modern dry bulk terminal.
We're going away. The idea is that the GPHA staff will already be trained both on the dedicated systems of the conveyors and the ship loaders and the echo hoppers, and also on the entire facility. For that, we've been working tightly and I have to say also successfully with GPHA. This includes also training here and abroad.
Project engineer at GPHA, Komla Ofori, revealed that the facility would be equipped with echo hoppers, which will ensure dust emissions at the bulk terminal are reduced to the minimum acceptable levels.
One echo hopper is about 500 tons per hour. So if you have 3, you can regulate to deliver 1,200 tons too. Meanwhile, there are truck deliveries also for other echo. So we've got bet 1 with echo hoppers to conveyor, bet 2 with echo hoppers to trucks. So that makes 6. And these are electrically operated.
The board members also visited the construction site of a new workshop facility for members of the Inshore Fisheries Association of New Takoradi. The facility, according to the Director General of GPHA, Michael Luguje, was part of the authority's corporate social responsibility, which was occasioned as a result of the port expansion at Takoradi.
As it looks like now, we are just hoping the next couple of months, when we come back, we are going to see a modern facility that is going to serve these fisher folks better. They were originally in the old port, but they have to give way from that side for us to be able to develop the conveyor systems that are supposed to be part of the modern dry bulk jetty. And here, we are not just relocating them traditionally, we are bringing modern facilities that will make their work much easier.
The board chairman of GPHA, Isaac Osei, remarked on the various ongoing developmental projects in the Port of Takoradi.
The engineers and the contractors, I think, have done a wonderful job. And I also commend you, Director of Port Takoradi, for the excellent work that you have done, but also on the liquid bulk terminal. I think it's first class. We have 5 arms there, but I do know that some of the arms are currently not being used. And this is an opportunity for the private sector to put up storage facilities for LPG, for RFO, for bitumen. We need these facilities in order that we don't keep those arms under nitrogen pressure all the time, you know, and pay maintenance fees. So the private sector should join us and build these facilities, because government through GPHA has done what is necessary.
To ensure renewed commitment to its existing safety protocols for the safe handling and transportation of international maritime dangerous goods, the management of the Port of Takoradi has held a forum to engage with various stakeholders involved in the importation, exportation, handling and transportation of such cargoes to and from the Takoradi port. The forum afforded the stakeholders the opportunity to review and tighten the port's existing standard operating procedures for the handling of IMDGs to and from the port, as well as ensure continued compliance with relevant national and international laws and codes in order to sustain the port's positive safety record. The forum was also intended to help the various stakeholders collaborate towards the safeguarding of such cargoes outside the port's jurisdiction.
When the cargo leaves our port, we can easily make the sign of the cross that we have done our part. But we are thinking ahead to know that it goes through the corridors of our cities to various destinations these cargoes are stored. But we need to think for an innocent person who doesn't know anything concerning international maritime dangerous goods, or who doesn't know anything about dangerous goods. Based upon this, we ensure that at least stringent measures are followed, in which at least will impart on how these cargo move through the corridors of the city or move through the corridors of the nation to wherever destinations it goes.
Some of the participating organizations included the security and regulatory agencies involved in granting approval for the transportation and handling of these dangerous goods to and from the port. They include the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the National Intelligence Bureau, the Arms and Ammunition Unit of the Ghana Police Service, National Security, Minerals Commission, Ghana Maritime Authority, Nuclear Regulatory Authority, the National Disaster Management Organization, and the Environmental Protection Agency.
The engagement has been very exhaustive and fruitful. Stakeholders came out faithfully and we deliberated, and we are very confident that going forward we can always improve.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has donated 2,000 bags of cement valued at 100,000 Ghana cedis towards the rebuilding of Apiache after the community was rocked by an unfortunate explosion incident earlier this year. The Director of Port of Takoradi, Captain Ebenezer Fedi, made the presentation in the company of the Municipal Chief Executive for Prestia Honi Valley, Dr. Isaac Dasmini, as well as some management members and representatives of the two workers' union at the Port of Takoradi. Captain Ebenezer Fedi stated that the management and workers of the authority empathized greatly with the chiefs and people of the community on the unfortunate incident. The gesture, he noted, formed part of GPHA's corporate social responsibility, which broadly focuses on health, education, and the environment to complement government and civil society's rebuilding efforts of the community.
And as an authority, we felt that in times like this, the government alone should not be left to shoulder the burdens. So management and staff of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority will put our heads together. We felt that we should come and support the government of Ghana to put up a befitting settlement for our brothers and sisters in Apiache.
Captain Afedi explained that the Port of Takoradi, which is strategically located in the mineral-rich western region, plays a key role in both the import and export of international maritime dangerous goods, and reiterated GPHA's commitment to the safe handling of the international maritime dangerous goods at its ports. The MC for the area, Dr. Isaac Dasemni, was full of praise for the Michael Luguje-led management of GPHA for the donation, which he noted would go a long way in supporting the rebuilding of the Apiache community.
To extend my gratitude to GPHA for at least giving us these 2,000 bags of cement. It's a great donation. About 2,000 bags of cement, they've done a lot, yeah. And I must say that the number of cement bags that we have received from other organizations and also is overwhelming. But then we are making sure that we are putting them, in good use.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the country over the past week. Now it's time for us to zoom into our discussion proper tonight. And tonight we're talking the reopening of the borders. You would have noticed that during his last address on updates on COVID-19, the president announced the reopening of the country's borders. And the information we have is that brisk activity has taken place or is taking place currently at these borders. There's vibrant activity. And so we're examining how we can enhance these activities to make up for the loss during the closure. And we cannot talk about vibrant activities in the borders without talking about the free movements of goods and persons. And so tonight, that's what we're here to examine. I'm proud to introduce to you Mr. Ziad Hamwi. He is the country director, national president, Borderless Alliance, Ghana. We're good to have you. We are happy. Thank you very much indeed. You always oblige us anytime we call you. Also in the studios tonight is Mr. Jonathan Osei Owusu, Executive Director, Post Foundation. Good to have you. First time on the show?
First time on the show.
Absolutely. So Happy New Year is in order.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me.
Right. Good to have you. So let me start with you, Mr. Hamwi, and find out, first of all, what did you make of the President's address when he announced the reopening of the borders? I know this is something you have been clamoring for some time now. Now it's come. What's the feeling like?
So first of all, it has been in the making, and there has been some work on ensuring a safe and orderly reopening of the borders across West Africa since the past 2 years. It has taken a little bit of time because of the COVID waves. And in fact, now that we have reopened the borders, it was in March, but you recall that the last heads of state extraordinary general meeting in December mentioned specifically the reopening of the land borders in January.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, at the time when this when this decision came, the Omicron wave was coming in, and so there was a bit of a delay with the implementation of the directive from the heads of state meeting of ECOWAS. But when the president finally came out a couple of weeks ago, I felt relieved, basically, for two reasons. The first one is a bit personal because wearing of the masks have prevented people from communicating, and it was a symbol of the lack of socialization in our societies. And apart from the economic activity, the reduction of the social activity had its toll on people.
Right.
People were really stressed. And I feel a bit relieved because of the relaxed restrictions, especially that now the situation has stabilized in terms of health and safety. And so I think it's good to feel that we are on the way to recover on health-wise and to focus on economics. I still, on the other hand, I feel that we have a tough challenge ahead of us to resuscitate the economies, not just of Ghana, but of West Africa and Africa in general. We do have a few tools that we need to try to use in order to accelerate this recovery, but there's a lot that the COVID has impacted on our societies, economically and socially.
Yes, I want to find out from you, to what extent did this closure of the borders affect trade and the movement of persons, within our borders?
So
across West Africa, so to speak.
Thank you. So let me first of all clarify that a lot of commercial activity was still taking place as the commercial articulators were still moving goods across borders, across West Africa, even when the borders were closed for the movement of people. And so commercial activity has continued, and it has prevented shortages of essential necessities and goods and foodstuffs. But at the same time, the movement of people was all but completely halted through the official borders, knowing that there were certain unofficial borders where some activity was some movement was taking place, and it cannot be really prevented. You can't really just shut the whole borders for various reasons. And I feel that the biggest impact on economic activity has to do with the border communities, which were regularly engaged in the movement of small loads of perishable goods and wares to move across the borders for livelihoods. And so the closure of the borders impacted severely the lifestyle of these people and the economic power of these communities. And so I am hoping that the reopening of the border will positively affect these.
Right.
And so the other major aspect is tourism. Of course, there are so many aspects that I'm singling out these two because where people move, trade moves.
Yeah.
And when trade moves, there is exchange also of intellectual property. So people share experiences, they share tools, people will visit countries nearby. And so this will create also an economic cycle and create jobs.
Right.
Which have been severely affected in the industry. And you know that, for example, tourism and transportation were two of the main industries that were impacted by COVID, because you still need to move the goods, right? Whether you are there to sell them or you use digital or whatever, you need to move the goods from one place to the other, and people will be moving these goods.
Right.
So I am hopeful that the reopening of the borders will affect positively, and that trade will pick up, and that it will translate into economic development.
Right. Okay, so let me inform our viewers that along the line we shall have the privilege of speaking to His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS Task Force for the Monitoring of the Free Movement of Goods and People. That's a unit of the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. And so we'll be speaking to him in the course of the show when I pick signals from my producers that he is ready and willing to join us. Let me come to you, my good friend, Jonathan Oseusu, and find out from you. Now, your foundation, in collaboration with the Ghana International Trade Commission, held a workshop to promote small-scale cross-border trade, the rule of law, and the use of technology in Africa. Can you share with us the experience coming out from this particular workshop that you organized?
Thank you very much. When Ziad was speaking, he narrowed the problem, the hit, to small-scale cross-border issues, and that is what we are currently dealing with.
Yeah.
When COVID led to the closure of the borders, of course, goods with the trucks were moving. And what about the goods from women and ordinary traders who were using the borders? Don't forget that they play a significant role in the development and the upliftment of Ghana's economy.
Yeah.
Likewise, the continent. So the project seeks to look at first 6 countries, Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, and to look at how we can trade with ourselves and remove stumbling blocks from the borderlines. So we titled the project Promoting Cross-Border Small-Scale Rule of Law and Technology. So we are introducing some level of technology so that people can trade among West African countries, not necessarily sometimes making the movement, but we are trying to put the highlight on cross-border trade of small-scale industries or persons who are using the borders.
Yeah.
So I was happy when he said the opening of the borders by the announcement from the president has brought a bit of relief. He's very much aware we're in partnership moving along with this kind of work we're doing. We just came back from Burkina Faso last night, and it will interest you to know that the relief that has brought to the border communities is very significant, because their daily bread, sustainability, and livelihood depend on the borders. And so closing the border was a big challenge to some of these people, and we cannot quantify the loss that may have hit these people within the cross-border countries. So we have moved to all these countries, had focal group workshops. What we are trying to seek to do is to understand the existing structures, because we are not key in trading, but we are facilitators. What are the problems? What are the challenges? What are the prospects? What can we do together? So as we move on, I'm sure Zaid will be able to help let us know some of the few challenges that are hindering trade within the borders, even though it has been opened, and what are the necessary recommendations we can make for authorities, including ECOWAS and other heads of state, to understand the realities on the ground, so that they will know which protocols are working, which are not working, and how we can be able to sync all the... I saw the news. You are looking at integrated customs management systems. diving straight into the discussion, we seems to be doing well when it comes to some of these things in Ghana. But it is not Ghana we are talking about. We are talking about trading among ourselves.
Right.
So you go to, we were going to Burkina Faso, and there's what we call La Passe something. Laissez-passer. If you move from one country to another, let's take it like you're moving from here to Benin.
Right.
You have to take the time, the delay, and enter the vehicle, every process, go to Benin, do the same thing. Why can't we have one integrated system of customs in West Africa? So that when your input is taken from one point, you get there, they enter your number, and then it continues. Zahid says something. When people flow. Ziad.
Yes.
I prefer calling him Tarzan.
Yes.
Tarzan said something.
Yeah.
When people go, goods flow. And when goods flow, there is automatically going to be services and goods that will be transferred to the other part.
Right.
And it brings about development. So if Africa is looking for economic emancipation, then these are the things we should be looking at, particularly issues on our borders, to be able to allow us to flow with persons and goods easily, because there are examples to look at the European countries. Are you telling me you moved from Germany? I've been to different states, and then you just have different checkpoints to have this checked, another checked before you go to another country. It's never done. We are one people. It's just the borders that have separated us because of colonial masters. If that is recognized, then let us put around integrated custom systems, immigration systems, police systems, to be able to check the fears of crime and be able to allow goods and services to flow. So that is basically what our project seeks to do, to bring the stakeholders together, dialogue, get the real challenges, and then be able to propose solutions. And so as we go on, we will discuss some of the regional workshops that are about to happen with customs within these 6 countries. And when we are successful, we'll be able to scale up and move further to other countries.
All right, so just briefly, with respect to this current recent workshop that you held, what were some of the issues that came up? What were some of the issues that people raised?
You'll be surprised. Being practical, not just mentioning point by point. The Tomato Sellers Association in Ghana gave a very, very, very damning story where transport owners or drivers were moving to Mali, and they stopped their vehicle, asked them for some kind of documentation. In the process of producing it, they handcuffed them, or they did not handcuff them. They chained them, put them under
chained them?
Yes.
Wow.
Chaining, like put them in a chain.
Yeah.
And then put
not
them,
the actual handcuff, but chain?
Yes.
Wow.
And under a tree. This
as
was
if we are in a slave trade era?
The surprising thing that baffled us was, you can make a statement and go away. He came with pictures.
Was that coming from our side of the border or their side of the border?
Outside of Ghana's border, that is their side.
Okay.
So if we are talking about Ghana, integrated system, the ports are working, and this and that, don't forget that goods are being transported from here to another country. And if they are going to subject our people, drivers from Ghana,
to these kind of inhumane treatment.
Inhumane treatment. And what are we talking about? One thing that went across border, one challenge, is the numerous checkpoints. And Tarzan is aware. Numerous checkpoints. As we traveled from Nigeria to Lomé, I asked myself, what? I was not carrying goods. I was so frustrated and disappointed. Let me tell you, from here to your distance, from Nigeria border, it's a checkpoint. Another distance, same, a checkpoint. We could count over 23 within just a short space. And I asked, any time we get there, there is money being taken from the driver, to the extent that they are even exchanging. So we are not just talking about Nigeria. It cut across. There is transit tax or levy that are being taken in Benin. The ECOWAS protocols do not enforce that. Why are they sanctioning this? And this is officially taken. You bring in your goods from Nigeria to Ghana, taking your goods from Ghana to Nigeria. Then they take what we call transit fee. The goods, for Christ's sake, is not coming to that country. You are taking fee and charges for goods that are coming to Benin. So why then do you take transit fee when the goods are just moving? Women in particular I'm telling you, the frustrations were very high when people were speaking in French and the translation was coming. I believe we're not getting the real translation, but they were in tears that something must be done because the borders are not friendly. And if Ghana is working, I don't know. But to some extent, it seems so. But if it is not working in tandem with that of other African countries, then, I mean, we are tickling ourselves and then laughing as if something better is happening to us. But that is not good.
Right. That's a very damning revelation by Jonathan. What happened to the Vice President's orders of the removal of borders, along our corridors and all that? Have you done any work to assess how far this particular directive has gone, whether it's been implemented, whether it's been adhered to, or whether indeed the barriers have been removed? Because he just said the barriers are still there, so many of them.
So when His Excellency came up with the directive, initially to completely remove the customs checkpoints because their studies revealed that the amount of marginal revenue that they are making from the addition of these checkpoints was insignificant, so better make do with them. But then it was later amended to the stipulated ECOWAS of 2 within the same year. The Ghana Revenue Authority managed to maintain that number. Currently, I think they have increased it by 1 or 2 for certain reasons because, the road branches and so you have several. Now, with Ghana Revenue Authority, there has been the ability to maintain discipline with a number of checkpoints. And so to a certain extent, you won't meet that many GRA checkpoints per se. It is with police checkpoints that it becomes a little bit trickier because the matter is no longer free movement as it is with security. And Jonathan was talking something about security because he knows that it is a very tricky affair to balance compliance with facilitation, especially when there are issues taking place beyond your direct borders. It's true that Ghana, for example, might have issues, but the challenges multiplies once you get closer to the Sahelian area, for example, or the closer you get to Nigeria because of the security issues they have. And so it becomes a little bit an issue of trying to justify the removal of security apparatus that is actually protecting. And so it's a difficult discussion. With police, the approach is to focus on the discipline and the integrity of the units which are manning the checkpoints. Because you cannot allay the security fear you cannot justify trade by removing it. But you can at least instate a form of discipline and integrity. So if you're there to check, for example, for firearms, and you don't find firearms, so you can just wave them off and they continue. But then when you stop them for a certain reason, and then in the course of the interrogation, you find out that you want proof of identification of particular points, or then you try to keep on interrogating until you find out that you are wasting the time of whoever is. It becomes a little bit difficult. And because of the nature of the checkpoints, they are flexible. They cannot be mounted for security reasons. Ironically, you can't have fixed security checkpoints, right? So you have to move them. So once you allow the idea of having a security checkpoint, it can be mounted and dismounted. It can be a snap checkpoint, and then it will disappear within some time.
30 minutes, you are back and it's not there.
And then it's not there. It's somewhere. It has shifted somewhere up there like this by someone else. So it becomes a little bit trickier. It needs more centralization. And I know that from the engagements we used to have over the past few years with Borderless Alliance, when you talk about the hierarchy of the security services, it's not as centralized as it is in other countries. So it's a bit difficult to discuss something in the head office and then to just forward the directive and expect that all of the other regions would just immediately go ahead and apply it vigorously, right? Because first of all, there might be the situation where in different regions, at different points of time, security situations change based on assessments that, for example, are not available for the public, and becomes a little bit complicated. So basically I'm not stalling the discussion, but I'm trying to justify the fact why it has been a little bit challenging in Ghana to reduce the number of police checkpoints in particular. And so we have a situation where at the moment I need to check the figures, But I'm sure Jonathan, if he has counted, he might have counted at least 75 checkpoints from Tema all the way to Paga before he crosses on the other side. Some of them are unidentified. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are there, but the people are not there. They are just night shift. So sometimes it gets ridiculous, right? But the number is too high.
All right, so Jonathan, that's a very horrifying picture you painted out there. There are elements or issues of human rights violations. Taking a look, considering the picture you painted about people being chained, not even handcuffed, but chained, like I said, as if we are still in the slave trade era and all that. When they gave you these experiences that they have had, did they also give an indication about what we are doing as a country to resolve these issues and ameliorate the situation to get them to do business, in a very, very conducive and safe manner?
You see, when it comes to trade, just like Tarzan said, it has effect on security because we are dealing with cross-border. So it's a very dicey situation that we must be careful. Nevertheless, we can have basic systems to be able to help us move beyond the challenges that we're facing. Before I come to what can be done, as you're asking that, what is the fears and the country? We can propose and agree on certain basic systems that should be acceptable by all African or West African countries. When COVID came, one good thing it taught us was technology. It's rather unfortunate that we are doing this for the port. Look at the airport. Look at the Tema Harbour, Takoradi Harbour. But our borders, are they automated? That I didn't see. In fact, it was Ghana's migration office at Burkina side. I don't know what the name they call Burkina side. Yes, that they have these things. When you move to the other countries, they still do more of the manual. But if the West African states will agree, because there are some of the things they may not agree because of revenue and why they want to get money to, foster economic development or development in their country. So if you don't agree to all this, can we have basic agreement to have these common things at the various borders so that when you are transiting with goods and services, it will be easy for just verification for you to be able to carry on. The checks that have been done in Ghana's borders, if they were able to certify your goods, why can't they upload the document for you to get it at the other point? Because it is just mere road and blocks that divide these two towns. If you want to also talk about security and be vigorous, don't forget, those who want to transit goods, illegal goods, they have mastered to use illegal routes, and they are able to sometimes manage to go through. So when people are transiting, that is not to say that people don't use the main borders with illegal goods, but majority of them will find their way out. So if you make it so vigorous, cumbersome, and confusing, you rather hindering trade at the border level, and it is also hindering development. So that is a bigger challenge. Now, coming to your question, if we are able to get all these information and issues, what we want to do is to be able to get a network of paralegals, lawyers, pro bono lawyers, and legal aid. So we'll be bringing together legal aid representatives from all these countries and having people trained as paralegals who will assist people at the borders. Sometimes it's legitimate. Women do not have documents covering the goods they are transporting. So sometimes if it's an agricultural goods, for example, and they are seeds, there needs to be some level of verification. What type of seeds are you sending? So there should be some basic standard and rules at the border level, getting it automated in the system so that you can quickly cross-check and then move this along. But the paralegal and pro bono together with the migration and customs that are being brought together will form a network where when people get problems at this border, they will be able to quickly get somebody who will intervene, explain things to them, and if possible, find out how to resolve these matters. There's a woman we encountered just last 2 days at Burkina Faso. She trades in perishable goods. She wept at the program. Why? Because we do not even have systems or storage facilities at the customs and the checkpoints and the borders. So just imagine if she had gone for an articulator full of perishable goods, and for some reason you want her to produce some permit, and she is waiting within a day or two. What do you think will happen to these perishable goods? There should be a system where we can store them and charge the person to pay. Already, I was telling Tarzan that they are within the transport business. It is difficult to get transport to have perishable goods being transported from one country to another. Then these women put all their money into this, and then when they get to the border, they face one frustration or the other.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised that a whole official from Togo, moving from Ghana back to Togo, he was asked to pay stamp fee.
Stamp fee?
Because the passport was a virgin passport. He has gone for a new passport. I'm yet to get myself acquainted with the processes and procedure.
Yeah.
But I don't think there is anything called stamp fee when your passport is a virgin passport.
And that was which side of the border? Ghana side?
Ghana's border. So if we pick the problems, it's here, there, and etc. Except that the problems was more, they were too much when it gets to the other countries. And don't forget, Ghanaians are using those routes to trade.
Yeah.
So you cannot be isolated and think differently. You heard the president's speech about ECOWAS and thinking about how we can send this together. If not, we will not tax every state to be looking at the Eastern Corridor Road, something corridor, because we want free movement to go.
Yeah.
It's high time we try to sit on the table and agree on some basics, some fundamentals to be able to carry these things on so that we do not suffer when we are taking goods from here to Nigeria, but when they are bringing goods from Nigeria to Ghana, it becomes a bit of an easy thing for them. We should have equal rights, equal
we should operate on an even keel,
no matter if even your systems are not working. These are basic systems that can be put in place to check. At least if there are violations, just like I give you, what are the mechanisms to report? If somebody is being asked to pay stamp fee and he thinks it's not right, who does he speak to at the border? These are some of the things that we want to have agents at the border who may serve as paralegals. They learn to understand the trade, the system, the migration laws, the etc., to be able to foster this. And as a result of that, by close of this month, you have a web portal, West African Trade Web Portal, to be able to have various critical information on them to aid trade. You can imagine I was moving with my team, 5 of them, to Cote d'Ivoire. We didn't know you don't do COVID test. We had done COVID tests from here before you travel. We got there. We had wasted the money. Going to Nigeria, COVID test, you pay $117. This is ECOWAS. Can't we have a harmonized system? And I think Tarzan's committee did excellent work and presented something to the ECOWAS heads of state so that we have a uniformed testing system approved by all, and then a fee that is guaranteed by all, irrespective of where you are coming from. Because if you say I'm an ECOWAS citizen and I can spend 40 days in another country, is it 40 days for free? 90 days?
I think 90, yes.
The free movement. And if I can do that, why can't we have a common system and agreement that if you are tested positive in Ghana, this is what is the process. If it is in Nigeria, this is the process. But I pay Ghana, pay Nigeria, coming back, I pay until the president cleared. Our budget for programs would have been multiplied. Why should it be so? Same people, same continent, just language, and for colonial master's sake barriers, and we want to do this to ourselves. That is not proper.
All right, so you mentioned positioning paralegal or legal persons, you mentioned legal aid, at the borders to assist some of these people, to ensure that they do business freely. Is that going to come at an additional cost?
Very well.
They obviously be cost implications.
A cost implication. So we want to begin this pilot work with GIZ and see if we can move to the next step. If we have already, there are some existing work going on. So we shouldn't think we are coming to solve the entire problem. There have been work that has been started by Borderless Alliance. Other people to have a container there. Now we are agreeing to have these people already there well-trained, motivated to be able to carry on the work for sustainability's sake. So it may come with additional cost, but these are people who are passionate and have been employed to help women and people who are transiting the border. So as time goes on, we may roll it out to the state or to AFTA or other relevant bodies for sustainability, because we are partnering to be able to get things done to sustain whatever activity or agenda that we have, rather than doing the normal civil society work. And then when you leave and there's no donor funds, you leave everything to go just like that.
Right.
So that is the discussion that has been going on between us, Borderless Alliance, and other group of people who think getting people as agents, as paralegals, to help and support will help minimize the stress at the border level, particularly adding technology to this situation.
All right, so Ziad, we cannot have free movements and free activities, so to speak, around our borders, across our borders in West Africa, without having an effective security system. And I want us to examine the security system that is in place. Have you done any assessment? Our case, we need to be worried because of what is happening around around us, in our neighboring countries and all that. Have you done any assessment of what the security situation is? Is it apt, or we need to work some more to improve and enhance it so that we can have an effective and good trading system and movement of goods and persons across?
I don't want to be over-presumptive, but I just want to say, from what I have seen as a layman, looking at the scene in Ghana, the security scene, and I have noticed that there has been security stability for a while.
Right.
While in other countries, in some cases, immediate vicinity of our country, there has been some maelstrom. I'm not just talking about terrorism, I'm talking about instability, regime instability, and others. And so I want to say that, in conclusion, we have seen a more stable security situation in Ghana. And this is not by chance.
Yeah.
We need to, I think our security forces don't communicate their efforts effectively. I know that there are some, but in most, as an overall situation, I think that we have managed to secure the borders and the country in an adequate way.
Yeah.
At least I'm talking about Ghana. And it's not an easy feat because, and we know that there has been some serious security issues with smuggling, with cross-border trafficking, and a lot of stuff moving across the borders. Obviously, nobody will pass through the official borders, and obviously it is the legal trade that goes through the legal borders. But there is a symptom of border porosity, not just in West Africa, but all across the continent. This is a huge continent. I know that the map pictures Africa as one of the smaller continents, but Africa is one of the largest continents. And so keeping this continent peaceful and secure is not a small feat. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that it is easy enough to think about maintaining peace and security, but it's not as easy to balance peace and security against trade and development. But the fact of the matter is that without peace and security, you can't have trade.
Absolutely.
But without trade, you cannot really have peace and security. And look at what's happening, for example, in Ukraine, for example. Because of Ukraine, there's a food security crisis that is growing all across the world. Maybe in Africa, it's amplified because of certain issues that have to do with the African interconnectivity. And African interconnectivity, ironically, is one of the issues which we are trying to solve with African solutions. Because if you enhance African connectivity, you will reduce much of the cost of doing business, the time of doing business, and you will reduce the headache and the challenges of moving your goods and your people and your finance across your continent. You don't need to go to a third-party country before coming back to the continent and adding to your security issues with other issues, maybe health issues, maybe whatever that. So we need to be aware of the situation around us, but we need to know that there is a way where we can balance security against development, and the same way where we can balance compliance with facilitation. If you're a fully legal trader and operator with all of the right documents for your cargo, for your driver, for your truck, you should be expected to just zoom through all of the checkpoints and the borders. But that has not happened in many countries, including our own. So what are the real issues? And that is why I liked Jonathan's approach, which is the legals and the paralegals who are volunteering their times in order to help, to assist, to create to shift, first of all, the sentiments, and second, to provide a source of help, actually. That is what we were trying to do with the border information centers a few years ago, and we started rolling out these centers. And so in Ghana, for example, the border information centers have been integrated back into the shippers' complaint units of the Ghana Shippers Authority, right? And it was our hope that other countries will also emulate this model by having their information centers integrated.
You will continue, but I am happy to announce that we have His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers on the line all the way from Abuja, I guess. Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency. We are happy to have you on the line. I know you have been doing a lot of work to ensure the free movements of persons and goods across borders in our sub-region. We're happy that you have joined us, and we know you are fasting, but you've decided to graciously oblige us. So let's find out from you, what has been your assessment so far since you started this initiative and as you go around the various countries?
Well, let me start off by thanking you for this opportunity that you have given to Ziad and others who you have on your program today, and also for inviting me to participate. This is a kind of effort that we want to see from the media, given opportunity for those who have been working tirelessly to improve free movement in our sub-region. The task force that I had is an ECOWAS task force comprising other members from Niger, from Burkina Faso, from Togo, from Cote d'Ivoire, and from the Gambia. I chair this task force, and it is tasked with working to remove certain bottlenecks which may be identified in the free movement of goods and persons in the sub-region.
Right.
Now, you asked for my assessment. Let me put it this way. When I was the president of the ECOWAS Commission, and we're talking of exactly 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, the rate of intra-ECOWAS trade was around 13 to 15%. Those were the figures that we had statistically, relying on information from member states and also from independent sources such as African Development Bank, UNDP, World Bank, etc. So we all agree that was the rate of intra-West African trade. 10 years later, after I was given this new task, this assignment, I wanted to know from the ECOWAS experts what the trade, the level of trade in West Africa is now, 10 years later. And I was frankly disappointed to be quoted the same figure of between 13 to 15%. So that means that, frankly, I wouldn't even say we have stagnated. I think we have gone backwards, because we should be doing much more than that, given that other regions are all working hard to improve on trade. And also in an era now when we have the African Free Trade Agreement signed by African Union, African countries, we should be doing much more better in West Africa than is the case now. And that's why I look forward to the work that has been assigned, the members of my task force and I, to see what we can do to improve on this rather low rate of intra-West Africa trade.
Yeah. Right. Your Excellency, I know recently you toured some countries and some borders, and you engaged stakeholders in these borders and countries. What were some of the issues that came up during your interactions with them, sir?
Yes. Specifically, the tour that our task force did was of the countries in the Abidjan-Lagos corridor. That means we were in Cote d'Ivoire, we were here in Ghana. As a matter of fact, our visit started here in Ghana. We were in Togo, we were in Benin, and we were in Nigeria. These are the countries along this corridor. Now, this corridor is a very important corridor to the extent that it includes three of the economic powerhouses of our sub-region, namely Nigeria, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire. Of course, there you have Togo and Benin, but it also automatically links, brings in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So you're talking, when you talk of Abidjan-Lagos corridor, you are looking at least 8 countries that have immediate direct benefit from it. So if we can truly improve trade and free movement along this corridor, its impact will be huge. Not only on these countries, but I would argue on the entire sub-region. And so our tour was to hear from the economic operators, of course from the authorities, but also from civil society, such as you have with you today, Ziad, the Borderless Alliance, and a very important civil society organization which has been working very, very hard in our sub-region to remove the impediments that are still there, hindering free movement of goods and services. And these hindrances are the long delays at the borders, which are still there, necessary bureaucratic procedures, then just the usual harassment and corruption, which is a major part of the problem. And then in some particular instances, certain charges on transit goods, which are not allowed, both under the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme and under the World Trade Organization rules. Transit trade should not be taxed. Don't put charges, taxes, and levies that hinder the free movement of transit trade. And this is particularly of concern now because, as you know, for 2 years we had the border closures due to COVID, and that hugely restricted trade and had a negative impact on communities and traders and transporters and people who have made a living over the years from trade in West Africa between countries, moving from one country to another. So the restrictions hurt, and that's why I welcome very much the decision of Ghana and a number of other countries to open land borders. So these land border closures are another hindrance, and we must do everything to ensure that we create a borderless West Africa, as indeed has been the aim of ECOWAS over the years.
Right. Your Excellency, before we let you go, can you tell us what the way forward should be for everybody that's a participant in cross-border trade in our sub-region, in our countries and in our borders?
Sure. I think one of the things that we all should come to appreciate is that the more trade we do, the better it is for our economy. I mean, to trade, you must produce goods. So if we are going to increase, or if we arrive at increasing trade, it means that we are creating more, and we're manufacturing, we are producing more goods on our agricultural lands, we are more services that we can trade with. And then that means that we are creating jobs. And creating jobs means we are creating opportunities for income for individuals and households. So these benefits are there. And sometimes it's a very narrow focus on just customs revenue and revenue that we generate at the border. I'm not saying that's not important, but if we would balance it against the other chain effect of increasing trade, we would see that in the long run, I think it is a win-win situation for all countries if we arrive at that situation where West African trade increases. Right now, as I told you, it is estimated at around, let's just say 15%. But I will accept that as some of these official statistics that don't capture informal trade, which is a major part of trade in West Africa. So suppose we even say it's 20, 25%. That is still quite low. So you can imagine that if we were to increase it, if we were just to double that, you can imagine the economic impact that this will have on our economies, on incomes and opportunities for people, for individuals in our sub-region. So these are the arguments that are there, the economically sound arguments for boosting trade amongst West African countries. And it requires a shared responsibility by all, government, meaning government institutions, customs, immigration, police, but also civil society. And I'm very happy that we have Borderless Alliance. We have operators themselves creating, for instance, the fluidity of agriculture and animal goods platform, which is monitoring movement in real time of vehicles and traders between Burkina Faso and Ghana and Togo and Cote d'Ivoire. So these society platforms are also very helpful, and I encourage them, and I certainly look forward to working very closely with them within the context of the task force that I am leading. So thank you very much also for this opportunity. As I said before, the media is a very important part, and I'm happy that Metro TV is leading this process, and I hope that from time to time, Metro will continue to throw a spotlight on the importance of intra-West Africa trade,
right,
and indeed trade within Africa as a whole.
Right. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Indeed, we are grateful to you for spending some time with us. We wish you glad tidings and good fortune and a very, very successful Ramadan. We're grateful to you. Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers is the chairman of the ECOWAS Task Force for the monitoring of the free movement of goods and people under the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. We're grateful to you, Your Excellency. This is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, Metro TV. We're discussing and examining the free movement of persons and goods across West Africa following the reopening of the borders as announced by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo in his last COVID-19 update to the country. We are going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll take your messages and take your calls as well. Please stay.
Do you know, effective 9th May 2022, no truck or trailer that has not registered with the port and undergone the port load safety process with a valid RFID tag would be allowed into the port and terminals to carry cargo. To register, pick a form at the monitoring department, Port of Tema, or at the JAP2 Ghana office, or call 059-3866-358 or 059-32-63350 to get started. Registration is renewable yearly, so all trucks already registered are advised to renew now if expired. Register your truck before the 9th of May 2022 to avoid being denied entry at the port gates. Let's all cooperate for a safe and secured environment for our port operations.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, so you're welcome back. You can now call in and then contribute to the discussion. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and then contribute to the discussion. There's a few messages here I would like to take. This one says, where have our governments put Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's idea of African Transcontinental Highway? It's from Stephen Inho. He said, I applied Tema Road yesterday. Okay, I applied the Tema Road yesterday, and we could count more than 10 security checkpoints. And this one says, Mr. Jonathan, do contact on this number to give out your contact. Okay, so when we're done, I would let you have it so that you can perhaps reach out to them. I'm sure they want to have some interaction with you. Ziad.
Yes, please.
Where have our government put Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's idea of African Transcontinental Highway?
Interestingly.
So before you answer that, interestingly, let's have Godwin from Ho on the line, right, and then we'll come back. Right. We'll come on the show and then come back. Right. And yes, hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, boss.
Yes.
Thank you for the contribution, especially from your panelists. Mine is on this harassment from Benin officials when traders are carrying goods from Nigeria.
From Benin?
Yes, I mean from Benin officials.
Okay.
When goods are being transited through their corridor to Togo or even Ghana.
Right.
How is it that ECOWAS cannot resolve this issue? Already, the traders, they pay so much levies as ECOWAS. I mean, ECOWAS levy. So if they are facing challenges like this and ECOWAS cannot enter and then get it resolved, then what are we actually doing? So that's my concern. ECOWAS
right.
should be able to intervene and have this issue resolved. If there is some sanction, they can, if there is a way they can sanction Benin, they should go ahead and do it.
Right.
Thank you.
Godwin, thank you very much. Regards to the people in the Volta region. Ziad, you are about coming to Kwame Nkrumah's African Transcontinental Highway before we come to Godwin's issue as well.
Sure, but look, sometimes people forget that Kwame Nkrumah's legacy is an African legacy. The first president to actually declare the independence of an African country is Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
And so he's not a heritage for Ghana alone. We should always remember that. So when he was talking about the Africa Transcontinental Highway, and then he zoomed down to the 10 checkpoints, Tema Aflao.
Yes.
I'll leave the Tema Aflao for cross-checking with my friend Jonathan, who just came from there.
Yeah.
But for me, I was just reading a couple of weeks ago about the Trans-ECOWAS Highway, the Abidjan-Lagos Highway, which has recently been closed. And the deal was sealed in Abidjan a couple of weeks ago during the Africa Investment Forum, which was delayed because of Omicron and took place about a couple of weeks ago for a $15.2 billion US price tag.
15.2 billion.
So that money has
US
been
dollars.
secured.
All right. So we'll pick Paul from Akachi and come back and continue. Hello, Paul. Good evening, sir.
Hello. Good evening.
Good to have you.
Thanks
Please
for
flow.
the. May I know from your panelists if the chairman for ECOWAS, who is Your Excellency, the so-called Excellency you keep on mentioning, have not consulted his other co-presidents of ECOWAS before coming out to open the borders? Can I know for your panelists? And is that a way
Let's have some clarity. Can you come again with your question, Paul?
Did our president consult his other presidents, within the ECOWAS countries before opening the Aflao borders?
Okay. Okay. All right. Is that all?
Yes. And also, I would like to find out from your panelists what is creating all these bottlenecks.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much indeed, Paul. We are grateful to you for calling us all the way from Akachi, also in the Volta region. So he is asking whether His Excellency President Akufo-Addo did consult his colleague presidents across the sub-region before reopening our borders. Are you aware?
Of course, because we were just talking, you remember, about...
Well, what I know is that we are a sovereign country, though, even though sometimes it's very good to...
Of course, that's why there is a heads of state general meeting that takes place where the heads of state, of which His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the chairman of ECOWAS. So he has to call the heads of state in order to consult before they will announce that the border will be reopened in January 2022. And that is in Section 35 of the 60th Heads of State Generals. So you can look at that.
I know that decision was taken when they held a recent meeting here in Accra. Recently, ECOWAS head of state.
But it's in the communique.
But the challenge is whether consultation or not consultation. Why should Ghana open theirs?
And the others will still close.
3 months or 2 months after others have opened.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Togo and Ghana has not opened theirs and you want to go to Togo. So what we are trying to say is that there should be some synergy.
An organized way of reopening the
they
borders.
agreeing to open the borders. Yes. Because if not, it will not serve any purpose.
Okay.
That is
and that is where Kennedy mentioned the sovereignty, which in case even if you sign and you say we are going to open the borders in January, and you interpret it to mean that as of January 2022, we will reopen the borders provided that the security is secure. So keep in mind that if you are in a particular country and you reopen your borders, you are visiting another country and it has borders also. So what do you do if you get to, let's say, for Côte d'Ivoire, and Côte d'Ivoire's border is still closed? You go back. I mean, there needs to be some concerted and harmonized.
Yes, and some understanding and agreement, acceptance that this is what we all want to do before we proceed. Let's welcome Francis all the way from Sunyani. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes. Thank you very much for calling in. Please flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been to Nigeria and I had a customer there who needs this cocoa pots after the government has taken up the seeds. So, and these cocoa pots are rotten every day. I have a brother who had a lot of them being rotten, whereas they need them so much in Nigeria. And I've been told if I can ship them there, But here is now the case that these are border hindrances here and there. What do we do so that concerning these neighbor countries can benefit from these things? This after the government taking the cocoa seeds, then these things can be exported to neighboring countries where the government can also earn, and we citizens can also earn something small.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Reverend Francis. Reverend Francis Asari calling us all the way from Sunyani. He's talking about cocoa pods and what we can do to support them, because he thinks that some of them are rotting away. I think they've been affected by disease and all that, and what we can do. This clearly does not lie within our domain. I don't know whether you guys have some solutions for him, but we perhaps would have to refer him to the appropriate quarters where...
it has to be a cocoa forum where the decision makers and the policy users will discuss and will agree. And you know how these things, it's a complicated industry. I know it myself because I've been part of it. He keeps on emphasizing on the Tarzan part. So Tarzan has been involved in the cocoa industry for the past 40 years. But I mean, it's a bit off from the topic of the free movement, especially since... But where it does fit into the free movement is the fact that cocoa eventually is one of these commodities that is an Achilles heel in the sense that several countries are producing it, and then for some reason there are arguments against the movement of the same goods that are produced by different countries, and then people saying that, well, we are all producing the same thing, so how can we trade the same thing among ourselves? And in principle, it makes sense, but in actual terms, not all cocoa products are the same. You can excel and compete in certain areas and not.
Right.
And here the argument becomes even wider. And so we say that, why doesn't Ghana export cocoa, for example, products to Ethiopia, and then imports coffee products from Ethiopia, and creates this kind of virtuous cycle? So obviously, it can be a national forum, which he's talking about. It can be a regional forum. It can be a continental forum. It depends on the political will, and it also depends on the identifications of the markets.
Okay. All right, so let's go onto the phone lines and speak to... I understand Francis, all the way from KNUST, that's in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Please flow.
Please, in regards to the opening of the borders and then the trade among ECOWAS countries in the sub-region, one thing that I'm much worried about, myself, I'm a Voterian, and then anytime we are traveling on the roof of the country from maybe Togo, Sogakofera, Flao to Accra. In fact, every checkpoint you get to, you realize that they ask of this Ghana card. They want to see whether you are Ghanaian before being on board. And this is sometimes frustrating, especially to the women and men who always plow the road in terms of trading. It's sometimes frustrating that everywhere you get to, they want to authenticate whether you are Ghanaian before you are allowed in. So sometimes it's difficult for some of us because you don't have to be a Ghanaian before you trade. You have a trade in Ghana or with Ghanaians. But at the end of the day, what happens all the time? As I'm speaking to you this evening, maybe somebody is going through the same frustration there. Yeah. You get to Sugakofe, the immigration officers there. It looks as if now it has become more compounding due to the taking away of the tools. Now, because of the elimination of the tool collection, they have taken over as if what should be given to the tool, what should be paid for the tool should be given to them. And it's sometimes so frustrating. And I pity the women and men who plow this road all the time for business.
All right. Point well made, Francis from KNUST. We are grateful to you for your contribution to the discussion this night. This one says, good evening, great discussion on the reopening of our borders. My concern, first and foremost, is the continuous absence or neglect of the Ghana Immigration Service in discussing some of these issues. Any reasons? Okay, I think we made efforts. I think we made efforts in the past to get them, but we will still try. I mean, it's a very valid point you've raised, and they will try and then get them on board some other time. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for this program about free movement across West Africa. Someone says, hi, the issue of virgin passports should be taken seriously. They always force us to pay. As from Michael, also in Accra. Thank you very much indeed, Michael, for your contribution as well. Gentlemen, I think that we've run out of time. And so my producer tells me you have 1 minute each to wrap up. And so I'll give the first 1 minute to you, Ziad, and then so Jonathan will come in.
So 3 quick ones. The first one is something that Jonathan was talking about creating a simplified trade regime where traders across West Africa, not just in Ghana, can be able to move with their loads with proper documentation that is simple enough to identify. I think Ghana has recently released something, but we need to look at how to do something on a regional level and to replicate something from another region. The other point I wanted to mention is the fact that the ECOWAS ID, which was just mentioned by one of the friends, is a really important thing that will facilitate the free movement of goods. Yeah. The last point is that 33 signatories to the AU Protocol on the Free Movement of Persons and 4 ratifications so far, unfortunately, in comparison to 54 signatories and 42 ratifications for the AFCFTA. So obviously trade has an extreme priority with regard to the free movement of, in comparison to the free movement of persons. And that is something that we need to rectify. We need to put all hands on deck to facilitate, to accelerate the ratifications of the Protocol on Free Movement. Obviously, that one is a very big and complicated domain. People feel threatened by the movement of foreigners or ECOWAS citizens or regions. And so the last thing is that this discussion for us will continue, and we have our upcoming annual regional conference, which is taking place in Abidjan on the 5th and the 6th of May in Azalai Hotel in Abidjan. And everyone is invited to inquire about the procedures and the details.
Right. Jonathan, just a minute.
Just a minute. Yes. But you should know, when you were listening to the president's statement, that he said there are bombs that are hitting cities in Ukraine. And it is hitting people's pocket.
Absolutely, yes.
So that means we are not living in an isolation, and we are living together. So if we look at Ghana's system, when you travel to other countries, it's not so much good. So we need to form a partnership to be able to help them. Therefore, I finally want to say that if we are looking for Africa's economic emancipation, then we should be looking at trading among ourselves and finding solutions within Africa to be able to solve the trade barriers that we are facing. Thank you very much, and we'll still update you on the various regional workshops that we are bringing people to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Jonathan Osei-Wusu, Executive Director, Pulse Foundation. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Ziad Hamui, President, National President, Borderless Alliance, Ghana. And indeed, we would like to say a very big thanks to His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, who also phoned in from Abuja to contribute to the discussion. Remember, we've been examining the free movement of goods and persons across West Africa following the reopening of Ghana's borders. And I would like to say the abridged version of the show is also aired on Ghana television every Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Make a date and watch that particular abridged version. And to all those whose messages have not been responded to, we'll get our guests to do that so that we incorporate that into the abridged version, and then you can have your answers on Wednesday. Many thanks to our sponsors, Well Company Limited, Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Link Network Services, Serene Insurance, and Meridian Port Services MPS. And thanks to executive producers, Madam Esther Jebidonko and Nana A.C. Soderberg. My name is Kennedy Mona. God willing, next week Sunday, we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of Iron Port here on this network, Metropolitan Television. Have a super weekend, super week ahead, and enjoy the rest of our programs. Good evening.
Metro TV, insightful.